Welcome to the No Plan B podcast. I'm Jean Fallacara. Today we are talking about grinding, biohacking, mindset, and overthinking with my friend Mason Bendigo. Is coming right now to join, and thanks for joining. So here is, let's go Mason. Thanks for joining, guys. All right. Yes. 1, 2, 3, go. Shadahinet Mosi. Mason, thank you for joining. How are you?
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm glad you joined finally. So normally it's the other side, but today it's this side. You are my guest. I was your guest 2 times on your podcast. So for the audience, Mason is a biohacker, is a human optimization specialist. He's been doing a lot of things, but he's known for his podcast, Breathin Air. You're going to talk about that, Mason, very soon. And in his life, he's been into sports as an athlete, and he was a team captain as well. And he has a job as well on the side in the IT business, if I understood very well what you were doing. But you're taking the road of the entrepreneurship soon, I guess. I heard noises. Why don't you introduce yourself, Mason, please?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for taking the time today. Hopefully this can be something that benefits you in more ways than one. But my name's Mason Bendigo. And, as Jean said, I started a podcast about 2 years ago called Breathin Air Podcast that's all about what I think are the 3 pillars to success, which is body, mind, and spirit. And so I started this idea with an athletic background and wanting to really be able to, use talents that I felt like I had innately to help other people. And my experiences in life in those 3 categories to be able to help everybody level up, right? So I took more of a holistic approach at it because there's so many things that I liked, so many people that I was interested in. And so we've had people from athletes, entrepreneurs, to, Texas country singers, to artists, anything that you can imagine. So you hear a lot in entrepreneurship and business that you have to niche down. And while there are benefits on that, I think that the biggest thing that people can connect to is authenticity. And so I really wanted to be authentic in how I approach this. And to me, it was like, there's so many cool people out there. Why put this into one category? And so here we are. The show has been great for the last 2 years. Got to speak with many incredible people, and yourself included. So I'm happy to be on the time.
So thank you for joining. It was a thrill actually for me to be on your show. We talked about what biohacking was for me. Now I was reading what you said and what you preach from your podcast, but in your life as well. And you say you're trying to tell people what is not taught in school. So do you think that biohacking is something that we cannot teach in school, or maybe one day we could?
That's an interesting question, because we all have these tools in our biology, right? We talk about breath work, and we talk about the way our body is made up, and you talk about neuroscience and where our hormones work. This is biology to the base. A lot of people look at this from an outsider's perspective and look at meditation or look at, cold plunges and these things, and they're like, oh, these guys are crazy. Like, why are they doing things? But at the end of the day, even the smells that we have, grounding ourselves in the morning, putting your bare feet on the earth, those kind of things have actual power that aren't really taught in the school books, but they're a part of us. It is biology, it is science, and it is fact, and in a multitude of ways, so it should be taught more, because we're in a world that's constantly giving us so much stress, right? And if you look at a lot of the disease that is society in today's world, a lot of it stems from stress. And it's a go, go, go society. Who can outperform who can do the most? And I'm right there with everybody else that, hey, we're ambitious and we want to do as much as we can. But we have ways to mitigate this stress, right? It doesn't have to be mitigating it in bad ways, in
True.
the time, or stressing out all the time. So,
But don't you think it's the role of the parents to teach their kids to be able to cope with stressors? Because most of the time I've seen parents, so not school, but parents putting pressure on their kids to be performer, to be better than others, to perform at school, to do this and that. And this is why we're seeing our generation, the next generation, very anxious and getting this anxiety all over the place, and people are even going worse than anxiety, getting like with serious trouble and depression. Um,
I think that in a perfect world, the parents are a role model and standard for kids. But as we know, that's not necessarily the case for a lot of us. I was thankful enough to have two great parents that weren't divorced. And I mean, that is even almost an outlier these days. And so, yes, that is optimal. We would love that. But on the other side of it, it is good to have teachers. I think back to sports, and some of the greatest teachers in my life were some of my coaches, right? And it wasn't just the lessons that they were teaching me about how to play the game. It was the lessons that they were teaching me about life, about failure, about dealing with pressure. And
okay,
yeah.
Mason, is there a difference between coaches and teacher?
So good one. Good one. Yeah, I think there is. To me, a coach does teach, but it's more than the teaching, right? I think even for a lot of people, coaches can be so much of a father figure,
True.
because they're not only teaching you, but they're there outside of the game or outside of what they're teaching you as well. So someone could teach and teach and teach, and we all might have sat in a lecture hall where someone is just teaching, and most of it's going in one ear, out the other, right?
Yeah. Some people are very, against, well, they get that reflect a projection of everything that is teaching. So it could be, and that's why I was asking if there is a difference with the coach. Yeah, you got it there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. When I think about it, I think that the coach is more hands-on, right? He's not just speaking, he's really following on all other ends. And that's kind of what coaching more encompasses to me.
So starting from there, you talk about life optimization and this thing. So you're a sort of coach for others in a way. With your podcast, you have guests that are like telling all sort of stories, but mainly it's how to set your mindset for success. This is, I would say, the main track of your podcast. After all these podcasts and all these guests that you had, very prestigious, very knowledgeable people, did you find a way or set some habits to have the perfect mindset for success?
I think we're all a constant work in progress, right? And
yeah, until we die.
this is why I set out on this journey, because I think a lot of people are searching for that exact answer, right? How do I curate habits for success? How do I set my mind for success? And, we can have all of these tools in our bag, but at the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is putting yourself out there enough to try different things, see what works for you, see what doesn't work for you, but know that, hey, these are tools in my bag that I can use. When I'm stressed, I can utilize breath work. If I want to boost my metabolism and up dopamine, epinephrine, and feel-good chemicals in our body, I can work out. I can take cold showers. I can get outside. I can stop looking at screens before bed so that I can sleep better, right? Mm-hmm. I can optimize my life with these facts that I know. But there's always going to be trouble, right? There's always going to be stress. There's always going to be failures. And at the end of the day, we have to put ourselves out there. The big basis for the podcast, the mantra is everyday action, extraordinary mindset, right? And the action comes first. There's a reason why everyday action is first, because
Yeah.
that's my world, and nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen if you don't put in the work and you don't put in the action on the front end. So there's a reason why the action is first in the mantra.
Yeah. But every action induces a reaction.
Yeah.
So this is the way that you can, and it's true. Sometimes some tricks cannot work in certain days because your mood is not aligned that way, or your metabolism is not aligned on that path. So taking action every day to optimize is a good thing. It's not an easy thing to do. What's your best tip then to get people motivated enough to try to implement those technique or those orientation or techniques, I would say.
Yeah. I would say the first thing is find out what your why is. Become aware of your why. And awareness plays a big role in this, right? Because there's so many things, that we do that are subconscious, and we walk through life and we're wondering why we're not achieving more and why we're not doing more. And it's because of these subconscious patterns that we have and that we are not even, like 90% of our actions are subconscious patterns that we've created either from, thinking the same way for a long time, even back to childhood, or just things that we've done in a pattern. Think about it. Most of the time we wake up, brush our teeth, wash our face, take a shower.
Yeah, it becomes automatic. Yeah.
It becomes very schematic. So one, find your why, become aware of that. So why do I want to go here? Why do I want to make $1 million? Why do I want to help this person? And then start there. Start at the finish line and work your way back. So I want to make $1 million. How am I going to do that? This. All right. Now you're back to the beginning and you do that action, right?
Neuroscience shows that you have to set goals that are reachable. If they're like too far away from your, they're not attainable, the response is not appropriate. You're not going to get there. You're not going to get that serotonin and those hormones to drive you towards your goals. So you have to set achievable goals. I know that for you, I want to do $1 million. Yeah, it's a goal. You can think about it. Some people don't even know what $100,000 represents. And some others, they do $1 million a day. So always keep in mind what is the goal, and if it's attainable, that's the way you can set it. Definitely. So go ahead.
There was a thought that came to me. I know that Andrew Huberman. He's the Stanford neuroscience. He's great, but
he's probably the best out there talking about neuroscience. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love his stuff. There was something that he said the other day, and this isn't verbatim, but it was along the lines of speaking about dopamine, and that dopamine's not a bad thing, right? It's what drives us. It's what motivates us. Right. It reinforces the loop of do action, get result, get good result, dopamine, right? The problem now is that we get dopamine from our phones. We get dopamine from, the things that the dirty food we eat, or, the net.
Easy drug, actually. Yeah.
Drugs,
So
dopamine itself is not bad, but excess dopamine without the action in front of it that you can be proud of is when it becomes a vicious cycle. And I feel like a lot of people, myself included, have been there, is in a cycle of more dopamine, entertain me, without you having to do anything on the back end, right? It's that instant gratification. So that's when it becomes a scary thing, right? That's when it becomes something.
Yeah, the chase of the magic pill that will give you that hype every day, and you feel happy and willing to do all these things. It doesn't exist yet, and the only thing that you can exist that way is getting your mindset align on that. And you were talking about thought and controlling thoughts, and we live with the thought that we had when we were kids and things like that. So all those traumas or just regular way of thinking are the one that makes us the way we are. Okay, so follow me on that.
Yeah.
By controlling your thoughts, is the goal to change the person and the personality you are, or the perception that you have, that others have on you. We're not gonna go too philosophic, but
yeah, wow, yeah, that's a big one. You know, the first thing there's a quote that I love when it comes to thoughts, and it's not the thoughts that you have, it's the thoughts that you attach to. So, really, you know, we talk about biology going way back. We were surviving, right? We had to watch our backs. We didn't know if there's wild animals coming. People were trying to kill us. So that natural survival instinct is always there. Now you think about the thoughts of, am I doing this to further better myself, or am I doing this so that other people will think that, or think this? And, you know, that's something that I think about a lot too. I think we all get imposter syndrome sometimes because we're like, man, I'm human. I'm trying to be the best for, you know, the audience that I'm talking to, and I'm trying to teach and coach more so, right? But man, look at all the struggles that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Look at all the times that I fall short. Like, should I be the one that's telling people this, right? So that's something that I think about a lot. And the answer is yes, you are the person. You know, don't ever feel like you need to put yourself in a box because you're a human being, because you have these thoughts, because we all do, right? And that's what I'm trying to really show on the show is look at all these wide range of successful people from all different backgrounds, and you will find synchronicities through everybody's journey. Everybody's journey is different, but there are absolutes in a lot of these journeys, right? And I think that, you know, sometimes people feel isolated. They feel like they're not going, other people don't understand. They aren't things. They aren't thinking these thoughts. But, you know, everybody is. One way or another, to one extent or another, everyone's felt some type of anxiety or depression. You know, everyone's had some type of trauma in their life, or doubts or fears. It's about not letting those things control the rest of your life, a domino effect, right?
So is it legit to share those negative thoughts with others, or is it better to keep them in order to achieve like greatness and aligned mindset and performance and success?
I think it can go both ways, right? Because when you speak something out, you're putting it out into the world, right? And so a lot of times for me, I don't even like to acknowledge that second voice in your head.
Yeah.
I'll feel it, I'll hear it, but I'll be like, no, that's not me. Like, that is not me. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm attaching to. At the same time, I think that talking out certain problems, certain things that you've been dealing with, you know, certain traumas, especially, it's not good to boil that down. It's not good to hold it in. So in that regard, I think it's important to talk to people, like talk to someone that you trust, talk to a great friend, talk to a family member, be able to be vulnerable. You know, there's a lot of power in vulnerability. And
I saw that. Yeah. I saw that in some things you were writing. Start doing, be vulnerable, be relentless, and be authentic.
Yeah. Those are three huge things, right? Because I'll give you a little of my personal story as we're telling, right? So
Please.
Growing up, you know, I was so in love with sports, you know, baseball, basketball, football. And, you know, I worked super hard to be great at it, ended up playing at the next level. And that was my identity, right? I had put so much of my time and my life and everything into being the best that I could be at that. So whenever I lost that, it was like, man, who was this guy? You know, there was bits and pieces of me in there, right? But I still had this shell, this athletic, like coat that I was wearing, like that's who I am, right? Um, I'm the jock or whatever it may be in your life, that people put you in that box and they paint that picture of you, right? But we're all way more in depth than just one thing, right? Like nobody can
True.
put us in that type of box. So I had to kind of shed that and be able to say, look, no, this isn't me. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'll put myself out there. And yeah, there's going to be some people that don't like it. There's going to be some people that laugh, but guess what? This is actually,
It's a very, very difficult thing to do, to be vulnerable and to be open and say exactly how you are to others.
I think it's this vulnerability for me equals freedom, because you can be yourself 100% of the time, right? You don't have to act like something that you aren't. And so many people today put on that I'm this, I'm that for others, but then
Because sorry, Mason, but because people wants to have role models, and role models are strong or super elite on everything they do. So when you're vulnerable, you kind of you show a weakness that sometimes people don't want to see. No.
yeah, and I'll pair you there and say the role models that we all look up to are just the same as us, right? They started
Yeah.
just the same way we did. Maybe, some started with more favor or not, but guess what? Everybody started and had to work their way towards something,
True.
right? And so, and that's the difference to me between the starter mindset and the victim mindset. It's like, oh, I was dealt these cards, or, oh, woe is me, I can't do it. Guess what? I can find you 100+ people that started maybe worse than you, that have created lives that have impacted millions of people and that have been extremely successful, right, in the worldly term. So it is that idea of, let's look at ourselves and say, where can I start today, right? Know where you want to go, and then where can I start today, and what are the things that I can start creating to be a habit for the rest of
To
the
be there.
Yeah.
That is interesting. That is interesting. So what are you up to?
Up to a lot of things. I feel like there's not enough day sometimes, but the show is growing. As you said, working the other job as well in IT, and that's growing as well. So just really trying to take my own advice, right? Take the extent,
Yeah.
build what I know is true. There's something that I've realized lately is when I'm building something of meaning, right? And that's what the podcast is. That's what the coaching that I'm rolling out is, and the programs that I'm creating for people to be more close to me and one-on-one in this process. It's building something that I believe is going to, make an impact in people's lives. And at the end of the day, I started this show saying, if it helps one person, then guess what? I'm doing my job, because I knew, who knows what happens. There may be 10 people that listen to this show. There are 5, but this is not why I'm doing it, right? If I'm doing it really to help somebody, and somebody's listening and it's helping, then I'm doing my job. And when you take that attitude and you build on it, then you're able to grow something that, now the podcast has reached, goodness, like 10 different countries and over 100 something cities. So to think that I started this in Little Rock, Arkansas, in the United States, and now that you have this reach, it just goes to show you that you have to stay consistent, and you have to build something that you really care about. Because if you don't really care about it, then you're going to quit on it, right? Because things are hard. People aren't going to listen. You're going to feel like you're doing this and just sending it out to the abyss and nobody's listening. You're not getting your break.
True.
But you have to have that why to back it up, or else you'll quit.
Yeah, that's this is our society problem. We do think because it's a trend most of the time. So you see people starting stuff and it's a trend, so it's trendy, it's good to do it. But they don't believe in what they're doing, which you're telling here, and it's super, super strong and true. If you believe in what you're doing, you're going to achieve your goals for sure. You're going to get there. It's a matter of time and dedication, 100% with you on that. But unfortunately, social media and information and TV and everything drives us outside of our borders. And so we found things. Yeah, this is cool. I'm gonna do that. Oh, this is nice. Oh, I'll do that. But no one is really dedicated to what it's doing, and no one is keeping that focus that is required to get where you are with your podcast now, for example.
Yeah, and it's shiny objects, and right, it's what's in now. Well, guess this thing that's in now probably is not even to be in a year, right? So
Sure.
that goes back to authenticity side of things. Like, you don't want to be doing things because you think others are going to look at you one type of way because of that, right? You want to be doing things because deep down you feel like you are making a difference, or deep down you feel like this is something that you're driven to do. Like, you have a fire burning inside of you to do it. I made this analogy the other day. It's like the kid that's playing video games, and he's just playing video games. He loves playing video games, and his mom tells him, quit playing video games and go to your math homework. He's like, oh, I don't want to do my math homework.
I've heard that.
Bro, you find something that you're passionate about, then you're going to work hard at it. You're going to want to put everything you have into it. You're not going to really ever be working because you're going to be loving it, right? And that's the thing. I challenge people today too. If you're in a situation at work or in your life where you are where you want to be and you want to be here, well, know where that endpoint is and then start working towards it, right? It doesn't mean you have to quit your job.
No, because I've heard so many people saying, like, you're not happy with your boss, quit it, quit your job, quit your boss, quit this. Matter of fact, most people, they have a living, they have a family. It's not like, yeah, I'm done with that job, I'm doing something else. Like, this is like a ridiculous stories. I agree with you. Try to find out the way that it will get you there step by step, without taking too much risk, as well for the family you have, or your environment.
Yeah. And you think about if you're having the opportunity to watch this today, right? You're extremely blessed. You have in your hands, in front of you, something that has worldwide reach, right? There is so much power in what we hold in front of us now, in our ability to reach a bunch of people. So use that power for good, right? Because it's too much of a good thing's a bad thing, right? So go ahead and utilize this tool that we've been given for good and utilize it for the reach that it can be. Don't abuse it. Don't be a constant consumer, right? Be able to put something out there of value.
Okay, so you have talent to put that in perspective and to use it the way that you use it in sports, in your life, and in your podcast as well. What could we tell people if they don't feel that way? How can we drive them to be able to have that type of thinking if they're lacking it?
Like lacking the thinking of explaining exactly what
like we said, we have to set goals step by step. We have to, if we're not happy with the situation, we have to put our mind in, and we have to be passionate about what we're doing. I've seen so many people without passion. How can we give them some sort of spark to start that passion to be at least born and then raised and become a fire?
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that, we can go down the road here, but when I hear you say that, it reminds me of the fact that, motivation is fleeting. We can have these bits of motivation that we get throughout the day. We can have these ideas that come up. We could be thinking about, wow, this would be so cool to start. I would love to do this. Most of us have that, right? And thing is that motivation is fleeting. It is not something that's going to carry you. Even something that you're extremely passionate about and that you feel drawn to is going to be hard. Like, that is what most people don't understand. They're like, I love this. Like, I want to do this. This is going to be so awesome. Like, this is
they love it for an hour or 2 hours, then they give up. Yeah.
It's like,
so true.
God, Now, realize and be aware of the fact that this is going to be an uphill battle. Like, you are going to be fighting along the way. So don't think that just because you love this thing and you're passionate about it and you want to start it, that it's going to be a walk in the park. And that's where I think a lot of people get it wrong, especially in entrepreneurship too. It's like, this is my baby. I started this thing. It's so awesome. I love it. It's everything that I would want to build. But they quit on it because the going gets tough. You know, excuses come along. Timing is off. They don't want to stay up till 1 a.m. sometimes, or whatever it may be, right? And that is where you really sift out the good, the great, the bad, the didn't start, right?
Yeah. So success and achievement require some sort of sacrifices. When you get into sacrifices, your mood and your willing and your drive to do it goes down. Is this when you take a cold shower or you will walk outside? Is that the time where you're using biohacking then? Tell us.
Actually, the funny thing about cold showers is, you know, yes, it has all of these biological, physical, benefits. But the thing that I love about it even the most that correlates with what we were just talking about is it builds mental resiliency, right? So it puts you in a state of constant, like a immediate shock right away. If you've ever gotten into a cold bath, right? You know right away, you're like, get me out of here. This is awful. This is super uncomfortable. You know, you're present in that exact moment, and it's everything in your body is screaming, get me out of this. So that's what I love about it, because there's situations that you're going to be in life where everything is saying, get me out of here.
Yeah.
But when you push through that, right, you get to about the 5-minute mark in the cold tub, most thing goes numb. I start feeling good in my stomach. I'm kind of relaxed. I'm there. I'm present. So that's the thing. Most of us run from that immediate hit of stress or pressure. We run the other way, right? And so it's funny a lot with training, with biohacking, with breath work. Another one there, breath work for me has been huge.
Breath work. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best biohack out there. Is the one that controls everything. Controls your heart, your mind, your power, or your resilience, and even when you rest. So everything.
Yeah. I had a guy on the podcast the other day that was talking about breath, and he's like, how long can you live without breathing?
Or bad breath.
You can live. Right. We talk about health and wellness, and we talk a lot about, physical activity and water and the food that you're taking. He's like, okay, well, take away breath. Like, how much is it gonna last, buddy?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It comes into play a lot. I first fell onto breath work for my physical performance, right? Whenever I'm playing, my heart rate is up really high. I'm trying to catch my breath, and I would use that to be able to slow my heart rate down, right? So now on the other end of that, whenever I'm in a business meeting or whenever I'm stressed out or mad about something, right? I get in a fight with somebody or something happens in my life where my emotions are overtaking me, right? The breath allows you to come back to
True.
Right? It allows your heart rate to slow down. It allows you to think clearly. It brings you back to who you are. And that's the thing with meditation too. Breath work was a stepping stone into meditation for me. And the way that I look at meditation is not as much, being able to tap into, another dimension per se, right? It's a way.
Well, people perceive it like that. When you don't do meditation, you think that it's like achieving some summit of, but it's not. Yeah. It's actually nothing. It's doing nothing.
Yep, and to me, that's what it is. It's being able to be present, because and age, it's so hard to be present. Like even to say, meditate for 10 minutes a day, meditate for 5 minutes a day, you will still feel resistance in your life to do that. Cause you're like, I don't want to be still for 10 minutes. I don't want to do this for 10 minutes, but you'll watch Netflix for an hour and a half or 2 hours, right? So it's that internal fight and that resistance that you have where usually when I feel that, it's something that I should be doing that I'm not as much. And people often run from that resistance. The way I look at it is you should run through the resistance. There's the old tale of the apple, that they see the storm coming, and instead of running away from the storm while the storm is just sitting on top of them as they're running away, versus the storm's coming this way and they run straight through it. Right?
That's the way to do it. But you know that the brain is not capable of keeping that focus on a task, whatever it is, or whatever you're doing, more than, I think it's 3 minutes in a row. After that, you do something else. Your brain doesn't stay on that particular focus, hyper focus.
Yep.
We have that 90 minutes of hard work that we can use as we talked about it on the ultradian cycle and rhythm. But that I was talking about that, that span you said you have to focus for 10 minutes, and that 10 minutes just caught my attention. I was just like, no, actually it's 3 minutes. That's the maximum you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting too, because when you tap into that other side, right, you tap into your spirit. We've talked a lot about mind. We've talked a lot about the spirit side comes to me whenever I cut off that sensory, right? And especially if you're a high performer, if you're driven and you have all these goals and aspirations and these things that you want to accomplish, your mind may be constantly going, right? You're constantly thinking about, what can I do next? How can I do this better? And oftentimes it's hard to quiet that noise. And so to me, coming back to that, being able to, be quiet, be still, and just be here. Like this moment in time is so precious. We'll never get this back, right? So it's easy to lose sight of that. And it's easy to always get into the, I want this next, I want that next. And it's really important to be able to draw from that spirit, from that soul, from the higher power, whatever you may believe in, to be able to center yourself and to be able to realize that this moment in time is like very precious. So to me, that's what it is. And that's where gratitude comes in as well. Like if anyone watching this, like be grateful that you have the tools to watch something like this. Be grateful, that you have the ability to see Jean's platform and the great things that he's doing, and that you have the hour, right, to be. So I think it's all about perspective, right? Perspective.
Yeah. And be, purpose and be present. It's so true that's the thing. We forget to actually that's a paradox, but we forget to put it in perspective, to be present. We think about the past and we think about the future. We never think about it's now. It's happening now. It's just like I see many podcasters too. Their guests are talking and they're not even listening to what he's saying. They're reading notes and they're trying to figure out what is the next question. What I love with you is we had 2 podcasts and they were super long, like almost 2 hours, the last one. You talk about things, we listen to each other, we share ideas, we don't even prepare what we are going to talk. I didn't send you any question because I don't care sending you a question. It's a flow discussion. This is the beauty of having people living in the present moment. This is what people should learn from this podcast today, is like, don't be too prepared to everything. Life is not like that. It has to be hectic. Sometimes it has to go with the flow, and it has to give you pleasure of what you're doing. This is exactly what is happening now.
Yeah.
Having you here.
Yeah.
Blast.
I love that to talk about this, because how many times have you gotten upset from something in the past or the future,
Mm.
right? You're basing your current emotion, the only thing that matters, this current state that we're in right now, off of something that happened in the past that you can't change, that you'll never get back, or something in the future that's imaginary and doesn't even.
And it will probably never happen.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So when you think about it that way, you're like, hey, why was I getting so upset over that? Like, I can think of so many times when I was worrying about an outcome that then that outcome didn't even happen. But I sure as hell stressed about it for a couple hours, maybe hey. So it's once again just being able to be aware of that and feel that. I feel like so many people have access to this great information that, you know, you're giving them, that I hope to give on the podcast as well.
Oh, you do better than me. But you know what? This is one thing I want to bring to what you said just 30 seconds ago. Like, you were anxious about something that was happening, that will probably happen and never happen or whatsoever. Here's the trick, actually. When you get to some things in your day that is a surprise, it's even better in terms of the reward pattern from your brain, because you were not expecting it. So we should avoid expecting anything. We should just live the present moment, and what is happening, good or bad, deal with it. And if it's good, it's even fantastic for your brain, raising up your level.
Love that. I love that. It's, you know, the saying that you're, what is it? Connected to everything, attached to nothing. You know, you can feel these things, these emotions. You can feel a certain type of way, but that doesn't mean it has to define your day. It doesn't have to define, you know, the rest of your life. It doesn't have to define your current state. Like, you can feel it, acknowledge it, and let it go. And
absolutely.
All right, let's put our focus back into the present now. How can I control now? Because thinking about all those other outcomes is going to stress me out. Thinking about the past is maybe going to make me depressed or anxious. How can I take those emotions and push them into a positive direction? I wrote a post about this the other day. We all have, you know, feelings and emotions that are negative. We're all going to have them. But those emotions are some of the most powerful. Think about it when you're sad, you know, when you're depressed, you know, when you're anxious. These are strong emotions. Like, you really feel them. And a lot of times you can get thrown off by them. So you either channel those into positive things, you either channel those into things that will push you and drive you to be better, right? You channel that dark energy, if you want to call it, to something productive, to something that's going to help push you forward to your goal, or you let it cripple you, right? And a lot of times we get crippled by it. So, you know, I know there's a lot of different spectrums when it comes to these emotions, but next time you are in this situation, you feel fear, you feel anxiety, you feel depression, whatever it may be, try and take it for what it is, realize that it's not going to last forever, and then channel that into something productive for your day. And by doing that productive thing, you'll then get the dopamine and you'll be back to where you're supposed to be. So it's an interesting way to think about it, but I really like using.
No, it's perfect, actually. And it makes you feel human, because we're the only one capable of doing that. Animals are not able to do the same thing. They don't think the same way. They don't forecast anything in the future that is not going to happen. We are the only one, thanks to our cortex. But this is the evolution of the species. So it's true, when you focalize on using that negative or positive energy into productivity, this is where you become better and better every day, actually, because first you control yourself and you control what you're doing with in your environment. So you become a performer. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah. And I think all high performers can speak to to these things, right? These tools in their bag. How did they become high performers? Well, they learned how to
good question.
Right? They learn how to master their emotions. They learn how to master their mind. You look at Kobe Bryant or, you know, Bill Gates or all these people that are extremely successful, right? They found ways to overcome challenges, to overcome fears, to overcome uncertainties, to overcome the doubts that we have in our mind and
and to build resilience to all these things.
Relentless, right? Relentless.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you were in sport, you were with the passion of sport. Why you didn't stay into sport as a professional athlete? What took you all out of that?
So I had 2 ACL surgeries. I've dislocated my shoulder.
I know.
It's a violent sport, but I enjoyed every second of it. I think about it a lot. Whenever I was going in, I was kind of on the borderline of, do I want to go the football route or basketball? And there was just something about football to me that you couldn't replicate, right? It was physical, and my body took the beating from it, but it left me so many lessons, memories. And when I think back, the biggest thing that I miss is the camaraderie, right? The camaraderie with the team, the locker room, the bus rides, the jokes we would all crack together, right? So I think one big lesson too that I wish the whole world could feel from sports, right, is you have a locker room of 100 different people from all different backgrounds. I had teammates who had been homeless. I had teammates who were black, white, all over the spectrum, right? All different experiences, all different journeys of life, just like everyone in this live right now. And they all came together for a common goal, for a common purpose. We all together for one mission. And when we stepped on the field, it was that one thing that we were going after. And I take that lesson into the rest of my life, right? And that's what I think the human race should do. We're all different journeys. You look around at everybody is, trying to be so divisive, trying to pull us apart. And we need to unite together as one people, because that's what we are, right? It doesn't really matter the backgrounds, the journeys. They're all going to be unique and different. And that's what makes us, so amazing, right? We're all very different way, but we all have these similar things that draw us close together, and we all breathe air, and we all
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So,
but it's going to be a hard mission to do that because of the difference of opinion and mind and vision of every single human on this planet. Politicians have been trying to unify United States, France, Canada, all countries. It's always the same goal. It's always the same thing. Of course, it's politicians. It's not the same. But I would dream of a world unified with the same goal, like saving the planet and not putting this pollution or around, or getting as simple as getting rid of mental issues would be a dream. But to get, and probably everybody would go on that track. Like we have so many problem now with these mental issues and anxiety and things like that. Unfortunately, humans are humans. They're different, and like in your football team, I'm pretty sure some days you had people taking another direction than the one that the whole team was going.
of course.
How do you deal with that? What do you do?
I think there's two things that you can do. And I think there's two things, we've been talking about high performers, right?
Yeah.
Even people at the very end of their careers, and they've done all these amazing things, and they've had all these achievements, right? The two things that stick out to me the most are people that always are trying to learn, and they're always trying to listen. Usually the smartest people in the room sometimes don't talk as much, right? Because they're taking in the information. They don't think they know everything. We don't know everything. We're just this little piece of dust on this huge planet, right? So,
and we forget.
Yeah, we forget. So, yes, your opinion matters, but guess what? Everybody has opinions, and there's a lot of people on this planet. But back to the high performer thing, it's like you're never done learning, and you're never done listening. People get stuck in their ways, and they think that this is the way it should be, but we're always constantly evolving. Everything is evolving. So go into situations, whether it's health, relationships, business, be able to take different perspectives on that, right? be able to think outside of the box. A lot of people are going to stay in this lane because it's the only thing they know. Because when they swerve out, people are like, why are you over there? What are you doing over there? That's weird.
Yeah.
That goes back to our insecurities of, oh, people are looking at me this type of way. I want them to like me, right? Or I want them to think this way about me. So if I go here, then people may not think that, right? So it's interesting.
But it's not easy to get people out of their comfort zone. It takes the resilience that you build day after day by building up your mindset. So, comfort is something that our brain is chasing. We are made to rest, to be in peace. This is our brain telling us to go that way, not to force, not to work out, even not to work out. Our brain doesn't, at the beginning, our brain doesn't like workout. After, yes, but so it's always hard to tell people, yeah, you should do that, you should do that. Many people, too many people are comfortable in their comfort zone and they don't want to step outside of that. What is your one advice to give them a kick in the butt and get them out of that zone?
Yeah. Your comfort zone is where your dreams will go to die, right? Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Perfect.
So there's my one-liner, but the thing is, we're all naturally, like you said, going towards the comfort. We all want to be in that zone, and we're naturally always going to innately want to be there because of our chemistry, because of the way that we're made up.
Right.
And the greats know how to associate dopamine with the journey, with the process, with the pain, and with being outside of your comfort zone, because they know what the result of that is. So instead of falling to this present emotion of, I don't want to do it, I don't feel like doing it. We talked about, even if you're passionate about something, it's still going to be hard. Mm-hmm. Know that, okay, it's okay to rest. It's okay to recover. Don't feel like you have to go pedal to the metal. And that's where a lot of these biohacking techniques and tools in our bag come in, right? Like the recovery, the cold shower, the foam rolling, the meditation, the rest, the good sleep at night. Those
are good sleep, number one.
Yeah, sleep, right.
Yeah.
So I am not on the side of push, burn the candle, don't ever stop. But know that in that period where you need to be productive, in that period where, you are going to feel that resistance, you have to get out of that comfort zone, because if you don't, you're never going to accomplish what you want.
Love it. I love it. It's like the fantastic sentence to keep, and I'll put it on the post to remind people. This is exactly it. Start taking action today. You always say that in your podcast. It always pops up when you talk to people. Start taking action today. So I've read that on another one. Brick by brick, 1% better every day. Of course, everybody knows this principle of 1% better every day. Do you trust it? Do you believe in it?
Yeah.
Should we do 2% or 10%?
Hey, if we could do 10%, that's amazing. I started trying to figure out how to optimize my time efficiently. So if I can work, like you said, for 90 minutes, I can cut out all distractions. I can put the phone away and I can focus on a particular task. Then guess what? I'm going to be extremely productive in that 90 minutes, and I'm probably going to get a lot more done than most people in 3 hours because they're constantly distracted, right? I think a really good Tom Boyd, he was on the podcast. You can go listen to it. He has a company called Creators or Brands, and there's am I back? Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're back.
Talks about creative constructs. So allowing yourself that time, that 90 minutes, or allowing yourself the specific concept to just streamline your focus on one thing. Think about how much more productive you could be streamlining your focus on that one thing. So really have tried to implement that in my life as well.
It works. Yeah. I work that way. We spoke about it. It's so true. I sold my company, and then when I told this board of administrator that I was working on 90-minute plan time frame, they were just like, "That's it? Only? Yeah, but you do that 2-3 times a day, and you do way more than anyone else." I so agree on that. I see so many people like in behind their desk, like doing everything except working. I see people at the gym, and this morning was the same. A guy was probably 80% of his time on his phone, checking everything, videos and things like that. Do the freaking work. Be there 20 minutes. You're gonna do way more than an hour and a half watching your phone. That's it. So I do agree on that. You're such an inspiration. I'm glad I met you. It's been like almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the first podcast, and I think your podcast deserves to be number one in terms of mindset and driving people towards goal and extraordinary mindset. What you talk about, what you have actually, you have that mindset. Are you gonna have kids?
Yeah. No, I plan on
kids.
I plan on having kids. Absolutely. I think a family is something that was one of my highest aspirations. I think that it's one of the most selfless things that you could do, and naturally very selfish sometimes. We all are.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely want to have kids.
Well, you have to transmit that way of thinking, because it's next generation will make a better world. I think that for us, for me, it's late. It's a bit too late. For you, you still have more time. But the next generation and generation after can change this world in a great shape. And we're going there. We're going there. We're going to go there. I'm very confident. I love the world we live in. We have to be positive, and every time I talk to you, it boosts my day as well. So, Mason, thank you so much. It's been an hour. We've been talking. It's always like that.
Dude, I'm actually dropping me and Jean's second podcast today as well. So if you're on here, you obviously love his work, and we had a great chat likewise on there. So I'll be putting that live today, and go check out the show.
I will share that.
Message. Let me know, if you have any questions from today. I'm always open and will respond to everyone that I can. So I appreciate you.
And follow his page. Follow his page. There is information about him personally. Even if it's the name of the podcast, you can see him doing all sorts of adventure outside. And things like that. So, Mason, thank you so much. So today the podcast is out. I'll put a link. I'll put the link in my story as well. And keep going, buddy. I love you.
Love you.
You're good.
Thank you for having me on. It was a blessing.
Ciao. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Mason. Ciao. Ciao, buddy.